Cherokee Indians came into the New World so suddenly that other Native American tribes thought that they came from the earth and called them cavemen. They were thought to have come from a southern country into the New World based on their pleasant and fluent dialect. The Cherokees' religious stories are strikingly similar to those from the Bible. They believe that the world was created in 7 days and the Indian man was made from red clay. The Indian woman was made from the man's rib. They also believe that man needed 1 day to rest and use for worship. These religious stories are thought to have been relayed to the Cherokee by Christian Gottlieb Pryber, who was a Jesuit priest and stayed with them for a time. After a while, the Cherokee accepted these stories as their own. Due to missionary interference, no Cherokee mythology has been preserved. The Cherokee speak an Iroquoian language and have many different dialects due to the different towns that they have settled in. One of their own, Sequoia, a half-breed Native American, designed a syllabary, a language system. The Cherokee were able to learn this very quickly, almost overnight. The Cherokee were hunters and gatherers and farmers. They grew corn, beans, squash, and tobacco, which was mostly maintained by the women. They made their own tools until they were able to trade with Europeans. The Cherokee were also very skilled in basket weaving and pottery. Children were treated very affectionately within their tribes. Women took on the teaching of girls, while men taught boys to hunt and be competitive. Boys learned from their mistakes by being teased jokingly by the older men in the tribe. A communal house was built in the center of every Cherokee village. This is where all ceremonies and rituals would take place. They had festivals such as planting corn, first green corn, ripe green corn, feast of the new moon and of reconciliation, the new fire rite, and bounding bush feast. A child's maternal uncle is the most important person in their life, as the Cherokee are a matrilineal people. This means they trace their descent through the females in the clan. A Cherokee child gets multiple mothers who all take part in their rearing and education throughout life. Women had an unusual amount of power in the clan. Men consulted their women before making major decisions. Their opinion and insight was truly valued within their community. This did not begin to change until Europeans' views began to influence Cherokee men. Women were often used as mediators between Native Americans and Europeans. Intermarriage was a common tactic used. The Cherokee Gighow, beloved woman or most honored woman, Nene Ihi, aka Nancy Ward, played an active diplomatic role. The Cherokee had a democratic government, with a peace chief and a war chief. They used filibusters during debates in order to determine which side would win. If the Cherokee went to war, the chief had no coercive power and had to lead solely by his own power of persuasion. During the French and Indian War, the Cherokee were forced to give up more than 58 million acres of land in Virginia, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and North Carolina. During this war, they were more so on the side of the French. During the Revolutionary War, Americans destroyed many Cherokee towns in retaliation for being on the side of the British. This forced the Cherokees to migrate to the southeast. This migration caused rivalries between other tribes and within themselves. In 1830, Andrew Jackson was able to get the Indian Removal Act passed. This called for the total removal of approximately 60,000 Indians from eastern lands to places west of the Mississippi River, whether or not the Indians agreed to the removal. Officials in the state of Georgia wanted more than anything to drive the Indians out of their land. In order to do so, they passed many laws. The Cherokee Indians ended up hiring William Wirt to represent them in Cherokee Nation versus Georgia, which went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, it was ruled that an Indian tribe is not a foreign state, and the Native Americans lost their case. During the Trail of Tears, Cherokee Indians were herded like cattle into prisons until they could be moved west. It was an extremely brutal journey and led to the deaths and suffering of many Native Americans. In the prisons, many died from diseases and malnutrition. The Trail of Tears forced Native Americans to live on reservations where many of them reside to this day. Unfortunately, they suffer from very high rates of infant mortality and alcoholism. They are still fighting for their rights and to gain back land that was taken from them.